from the Arkansas Sports Network. It's an all-new, in-depth Arkansas Razorback podcast featuring the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brad Caldwell. Around here, we call him the Rain Man of Arkansas Razorback Sports, Mr. Jerran Miller. And finally, he wears his hair upside down and he pushes all the buttons, Mr. Bill Harshaw. Everyone get ready because you're now connected to the Razor Wire.
Welcome into the first ever edition of the Razor Wire right here on Arkansas Sports Network. And Brad Caldwell, Jerran Miller, I'm Bill Harshaw. And right here, we hope that you're going to be able to go and find all of the Arkansas Razorback information that you were looking for fresh and hot off the Razor Wire right here with all of us. And of course, we're going to keep all of those corn dog smells. I don't want any LSU guys around. I don't know about you guys. Brad, Jerran, we're excited to be here.
We are. We're excited to be here. We're excited to be bringing you the Razor Wire. I think that give us an opportunity. I think that you'll like us. We got we've got a lot of experience doing this. Talked Razorbacks for many, many years. I was actually on 1190 The Fan with the Ugly Uncle back in the day. We've got Jerran the Rain Man Miller here. This dude knows more about Arkansas Razorbacks than Rick Schaefer.
Okay.
Now that's saying something because
you're
listen,
building me up there.
There's been a lot of times when I've been like, hey, Jerran, tell me about the last time Arkansas scored so many points in a game. And Duran's like, well, that was in 1967. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Oh.
I mean, come on, bro. You
You're
got
thinking
it.
about Rick Schaefer there. I'm not that old. But no, like Brad and Bill alluded to, we're extremely excited to get this going and get to bring something to y'all. And been wanting to do something like this for a long time, a Razorback show. So it's here and let's get it going.
That's it. The big thing that everybody's talking about in the state. I mean, we have a lot of different tidbits going on, but the most recent and pressing thing that people are talking about right now is the spring game. I know we all watched it. We've had a chance to absorb it. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, the biggest concern I had going into it was quarterback play, and we got a lot of answers there. Jefferson had a couple of nice, throws on some deep passes to Burks and some other guys and did a good job. But, in the spring game, those quarterbacks are protected. They're wearing that anthracite jersey. They can't be touched. So we didn't really get to see what you're going to see under this Browse offense with a true dual threat. And that's what I'm the most excited about is, if you go all the way back to basically when McFadden was here in a Wildcat and then Matt Jones before that, that was the last time we really had a true dual threat quarterback. Felipe Franks, he could run a little bit, but he wasn't a true dual threat in my opinion. So I'm excited to see what that's going to bring, an added dimension to the offense and put a lot of pressure on teams. And KJ Jefferson, he's 6'3", 240, so he's a battering ram back there. He's built like Tebow, and if he can continue to make those deep passes and with touch like he's done, that's going to really open the top off this defense, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
I think you got to go all the way back to the Missouri game with Jefferson that really started answering the questions at quarterback. We were all kind of wondering what was going to happen after Felipe Franks came in or went out, I should say. And, that game against Missouri, I think was as much a confidence builder for Jefferson as anything. And Jefferson looked really good, especially throwing the deep ball. As you said, I think he looked good throwing the deep ball against Missouri. So I think that we've got something there to actually build off of. The things that are going to be pressing about Jefferson is when people actually get film on this guy. What is he going to be able to do when they start trying to take his tendencies away, that sort of thing? And then, like you said, Jerran, I really love the running aspect that he offers. Of course, I know that there's that dangling carrot out there with Hornsby because he's so quick and so fast that, it's definitely a different type of running than what KJ Jefferson offers.
I liked Hornsby. I was really excited watching Hornsby during that game. Of course, I was also excited about KJ. KJ looks like he's stepping into the role of a leader. He looks like he's vocal in that huddle, and the guys seem to have that respect for him. I really wish I could have had a chance to see Hornsby taking snaps with the first team. I would really have loved to see that. And let's get those anthracite jerseys off because you can't really see how that guy can do when he's just playing touch football. I do think that whenever any of these guys get to run the football, we're going to see a type of running game that we haven't seen yet.
I know that when we play against those top teams, I'm always, you want to pull your hair out, thinking about teams like A&M and some of the guys they've had over the years, and it seems like Auburn, they always have had at least under Malzahn, for the most part, they've had a dual threat guy. You'll have him in 3rd and long. You got good coverage, and then he takes off and he breaks your heart, and keeps that drive going. And I'm ready to be on the other end of that more often. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, Coach Pittman did meet with the media after the spring game, had a chance to tell everybody what he thought. We took all of that interview and pieced it all together, and this is what Coach Sam Pittman had to say.
I thought the offense came out rolling. I felt like we ran the ball well, except for in short yardage situations. There was 2 to 3 times that we had opportunities, 3rd and 1, 4th and 2, to go run the football and didn't make it. But the majority of the scrimmage, I felt like our line played well and the backs ran well. Most concerning thing was with the 2 offense was we put the ball on the ground. One of them we beat ourselves on that one. Nobody made a play. The first one, defense stripped it out on a hard run, but we certainly can't lose that. I'm glad the defense got it though. But then on offense, there between the exchange, we just can't beat ourselves, and that went immediately to 7 points. So other than that, I thought the offensive line did a nice job. There's a lot of rotation in there. I don't think we had a bad practice, and that don't have nothing to do with me. That has to do with the assistant coaches and our players. I don't think we had a bad practice. I think we moved forward each day, and I love this football team, and I love them because of the way they come to work every day. So, yeah, we got better, and we will get better. We'll continue to get better just because of the character of the kids that we have on our team. And I thought KJ couldn't have had a better start, did some really nice things there. I think he's certainly maturing, and he's got command of the team. His teammates believe in him, and that's hard you have to earn that at quarterback. He certainly has. I just think when we're able to run him, I think he's going to become a very, very, very good quarterback for us. Right now, obviously with tagging off and those things like that, you're not calling any type of quarterback runs because they're not going to get many yards. If you block it up good and get an arm tag, and it's down +2. So I think once we're able to use everything that he has, but I do believe that because of that situation, he became a better thrower this spring. I'd have to go look back at every throw that he made, but I can tell you this: when I was standing out in the field, I was going, it'd be hard not to like this kid at quarterback because he's big, he's strong, commanding, and he was on point. And so I don't know every single throw that he made, but I know as a head coach, I was sat back there going, I'm damn glad he's our quarterback. First of all, KJ's smart. So, and I get what you're saying, but he's not, I don't think he's going to take direct hits. I think he's smart. He knows how to get down. He knows how to slip off tacklers. But you're 100% correct that you can't run this offense the way we want to run it with one quarterback. You can't do it. Hopefully whomever your starter is stays healthy the entire year. But at the same time, you have to be willing to run the offense. And if that's the case, your number 2 better be ready to roll, just like KJ was last year when Felipe got beat up a little bit. So we're getting more and more. I'm becoming a believer of Malik Hornsby more and more each time he goes out there. So you've got him, and of course then you got a battle there between John Stephen and Coley and Renfro. Well, we had one trick play apiece. They practiced it right at the end of practice on Thursday. The one was a flea flicker that I think KJ got sacked on, and the other one was a throwback to St. John on I don't remember what team it was. White. Let's see, he would have been on the red team. he was a big old hoss to get down now. I mean, there's a lot of people riding him over there trying to get him out of bounds, but it was just a lot of fun. I knew that one was coming. I didn't know the flea flicker was coming. I hadn't heard the play, but because it came from the sideline. But St. John's, I knew was coming, and he carried them for a while. It was a lot of fun for the entire team over there. You know, we needed to see our guys make field goals. It was certainly a positive for me, you know, of where we could kick from and things of that nature. So I thought, I've got to go back, but I thought Sam Lloyd punted really well as well today, and then the kickers, they all did a nice job. We did kick the one, Vito kicked the one out of bounds, which we can't do. But other than that, I thought they had a nice day. They're on discretionary week over the next several weeks, which means they can or can't come in and work out. That'd be up to them. I think we have enough leadership that everybody will get their 3 lifts in over the next 2 weeks. We want them to. We can't make them, but certainly would like them to, and I expect them to. But that'll be the next 2 weeks, and then they have finals, and then they're going to go home and get a well-deserved break. They need one, and you know, with the COVID and all that stuff, they need to go home and relax and see their family, and then they'll be back about the 20. I want to say the 25th or the 23rd, somewhere in there. They'll be back and be ready to roll.
So it's a great interview with Sam Pittman. I really enjoyed every aspect of that. He talked a little bit about the defense as well as about offense and special teams. And I think Pittman definitely has them in the right direction. And we start looking at things like the Pittman effect. Is something that we've kind of talked about is, you know, look at what he did in season 1 with the COVID restrictions and everything that Pittman was dealing with and the success that he had with that. How does he work with that?
Well, I think when you talk about the Pittman effect, number one, we're talking about a team that was just beaten down. And so Pittman comes back and he builds us up, even though 3-7 was not a great record. You look at the total of what happened. I mean, Arkansas really could have won 6 ball games. You know, they got robbed against Auburn. They had Missouri down with less than a minute to play. LSU, they probably win if they don't have so many COVID issues during that day. So you have so many variables there that Arkansas was probably one of the best 3-7 teams to ever play college football last year, which obviously is not saying a lot. That's kind of like being a shiny turd. But with that being said, the Pittman effect, I think what you look at his press conference, one thing that stuck out to me about what he said about Jefferson, about how proud he was to be the quarterback, or how proud he was of Jefferson to actually be the quarterback of Arkansas. Pittman stands behind his players, which makes me wonder here about the whole thing with Mike Woods here. What in the world here is going on with Woods? We don't know everything that has happened, but I have to say, and Duran, you could probably throw something at this. I think that the timing of the NCAA and what they did by allowing the one-time transfer rule had as much effect on Mike Woods and him transferring as any other thing that happened in the program.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to speculate too much because, like you said, we don't really know. But is it something to do with possibly, you know, him being the number 2 guy behind Treylon Burks? Does that have something to do with it? And like you said, the transfer, you know, this new 1 year, you know, there's no penalty. You get to go right off the bat anywhere you want inside the SEC, wherever. You know, did that play an effect in it? You know, what's going on? So I'm not 100% sure, but it really, like you said, it's kind of like what's going on here, because Pittman's such a player's coach. From what we can tell, the new wide receiver coach, you know, he's gelled well with everyone. Woods even made that statement, you know, I don't know if that was just trying to clean up something, you know, some kind of rumors or what, but he made the statement, you know, that him and the wide receiver coach, they go way back. So, you know, what is it? I don't know exactly, but also to touch on what we were talking about just before that is, like you said, you know, it was so rough at Arkansas when Pittman got here. We got to think about it. You know, we're getting blown out by the Mean Green and the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. You know, just blowed out at halftime. I mean, that's how bad it was. And then he gets here. He gets hired in December. You got that early recruiting day. You got no time to get your recruits, no time to get all that set up. Those relationships start 2 years in advance, if not more, most of the time. And he got all that dealt to him. Then we got COVID issues, so where we got no spring game. There's no spring. And then you get let's play a 10-game SEC schedule. Let's add that on top, and the hits just keep going. And you could have arguably said that was the toughest schedule. And they added Georgia and Florida, 2 top 10 teams out of the East, to our schedule. So in my opinion, it was the toughest schedule ever for any college football team last year. And we won, the games we won at Mississippi State, Ole Miss, but we kind of got robbed against Auburn. There was also a fumble in that LSU game that for some reason doesn't get talked about enough. And that was also a huge controversial call. And we basically didn't have our 2 deep on the D line. So this team was really close to winning several games last year that didn't happen. Missouri, we also talked about. So I'm excited moving forward with basically 20 returning starters, maybe 19 now that Woods has left, guys that have gotten a lot of starting experience. And I'm really thinking year 2 is setting up nicely for the Hogs.
I think it all comes down to how well, what's the leadership in that locker room. I think that's what it comes down to. Leadership is the team has to believe. We have to buy into what Sam Pittman is selling, and I think by and large the players are doing so. Of course, you're going to have your Woods leave. You're going to have players like that. It is transfer season, like Brad was saying earlier. It's transfer season. Those things can be, can't really be avoided, and with that NCAA rule, that just kind of makes it a little bit more easier to do. So I'm not too worried about Woods leaving. I don't think there's any brush fire that's trying to be put out or anything like that. He seemed to set the record straight that this wasn't an issue with any coach or anybody on the staff. So again, I think it all comes down to leadership. And I think KJ, kind of took the tutelage from last year, playing that backup role, and he knew what leadership abilities he needed. And I think he's working on that. And when you listen to his interview out of spring game, he kind of alludes to that. I know we have a couple more interviews, but KJ wants to come in, he wants to take control of this team, and this is what KJ had to say.
My confidence level is pretty high. Starting off, I was kind of a little rocky because I know I had to fix my work on my footwork, accuracy, recognizing defenses and different coverages and stuff. So coming out of spring, I feel like I grew and matured a whole lot than where I was when I first started spring. Basically, our offense is basically RPO run. Coach Brown is a firm believer in keeping the quarterback healthy. He don't want us taking many unnecessary shots. So how Coach Pittman said, each quarterback in the room is smart enough to know when to get down, when you got space to work, or just being smart basically, and just how the offense is ran, basically RPO style, fast tempo, just knowing when and when not to do certain stuff, just to remain healthy throughout the season. The connection on the deep balls with Traylon and Mike was pretty good. We had been working all spring about it. Coach Browse is a huge believer in giving the guys a chance on the outside, let them go up and make them play. Since we got playmakers, so why not give them a chance? And as far as me, I just put my trust in those guys. They trust me to put the ball in the good spots, and they're gonna make plays. Basically, I build out this confidence and trust in my teammates each and every day. I try each and every day. I try to at least grab one O lineman, try to work with him so he can trust me and I trust him, and just keep doing that throughout all my teammates. It might be anything, taking them out, laughing, joking, playing, just building a bond. So when we on the field, they know I got their back and they got my back. All the quarterbacks that we got in our room now is pretty athletic, can make moves in the open field with our design runs. So I feel like once we get into the season and Coach Brown starts to call more design runs versus different team, they'll load the box, which means it's good for us on the offense, so we can throw it over top. They bring a safety down in the box and go man. That way we can work our best matchup on the outside and let receivers go make plays. The running game, I felt we could have did a lot better than we did. We still had some great runs on both sides of the field, but I feel like we could have did a lot better than just as far as correcting stuff up front, O-line, recognizing who to block, and just correct, just fixable stuff. But I feel like overall, both teams did a great job.
So, Brad, coming out of that interview there with KJ, what are your thoughts?
I really just love the leadership role that he's taking. I mean, you have to do that as a quarterback. I mean, it has to be your team. And right now, this is KJ Jefferson's team. Coach Pittman has made that clear. He has said over and over again, this is my guy. And I really think that confidence that Pittman is putting in to the players, excuse me, this pollen's getting to me. But the confidence that he has putting into his players, I think, shines through guys like KJ Jefferson. And you've got to be confident if you're going to play SEC quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. I love what he talked about, where he would pull out an offensive lineman, like a different guy every practice, and work with him on the side. Those things right there just show you his maturity level coming into his technically his third year, I believe, redshirt sophomore. You know, that shows he's ready to be the leader and go to that next level. Those, I'm really excited to see how far he takes that and leads this team this year.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that not only are we talking about KJ leading it, we have Coach Pittman talking about his leadership. We have KJ talking about what he's trying to do to develop that leadership. But you also, when you start looking at defensive guys that are coming in and talking about the leadership of KJ and what KJ is doing for that team, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Catalan came in and he talked about the offense and just talked about how effective that they have been. I really thought what I saw overall was they knew what they were doing in the spring. They had a semblance. I felt like, especially early on, they were still trying to feel their way through. They'd get in the middle of the game, they'd kind of get a groove. They were starting slow a lot of times. I think that you're going to see less of that this year. And I think that we will see more of the Kendall Briles offense. But I'll tell you what, Bill, I was impressed by what Catalan had to say about this offense.
Yeah, definitely. He's gave him a lot of props there, and you got to love Catalan. How about that tackle he had on Traylon Smith in the first quarter there, where Smith tries to cut back and Catalan just eats him up. You love a guy like that, and when the guy is, how smart he is. He led the team basically. He was a leader as a freshman last year. 99 tackles, 3 interceptions. Basically only played about 9.5 games because of all the, he had a couple targetings here and there. When a guy like that is talking up your offense, that really speaks volumes to me.
It really does. And I think, the leadership needs to translate on the field. We talked about, they had a tough schedule last year. We had a lot of unique opportunities and things to go through last year. This year's a little different where we don't have the COVID to deal with as much, but what we do have to deal with is still a really, really, really strong schedule this year. And so that needs to translate over and Catalan, he mentioned in the spring game as well that KJ was stepping into that leadership role, and that's where Catalan discussed KJ. So let's hear that.
No, yeah, he has those instincts for sure, and he has those tangibles, and he shows that every single day with the way he approaches it. He always talks to us right before practice starts, 9% of the time when he's out there for stretch lines, and his message is always powerful. So yeah, no, he definitely can lead this team. And the sky's the limit for him. He's in control of all that. But I definitely ride with him as far as being our quarterback for sure. His mechanics and the velocity, everything on his ball, you can just tell that that's what he's been focusing on for sure. And I think his maturity. I think he came in and got a lot more mature as the time went on. And you saw him grow up fast. I think he realized the situation he was in, that he was going to have to lead his offense, and he's done a really outstanding job of that. And he definitely has the whole team on board. And I just hats off to him for taking that role, and filling in the shoes that everybody says. He's filling Felipe Frank's shoes, but he's done a really good job, and the team really is feeds off of that. Malik Hornsby, I can tell he comes in ready to work. He comes in, he's like a sponge, he likes to soak in everything and try to be the best quarterback he can be. And you saw today, he threw the ball really well. And when he was able to run, you saw what made him so special was his speed and be able to get out the pocket. But I thought he had a really good day today. And I thought he was really consistent as far as his mindset, mentality throughout the spring. And he did a lot of good things for us. And then you go to Lucas Coley. He's a young guy that's making noise for sure, letting everybody know that, that his time's coming for sure. But he learns every day. He gets better each and every day. And then K Renfro's another guy that I've really found impressed with the way he throws. He has a really good arm, and he has a little swag about himself at the QB position, which I like. So the whole QB room has really done a really good job this spring, and I've been impressed. Those are top-notch guys. To me, like I said, I'm not might be biased, but I think they're the best receivers we have in SEC right now. And they show that every day in practice with their consistency. So they make us better. And I think the DBs are playing so good that we're making them better. So it's an iron sharpened iron type situation. But no, they're ballers and definitely help us out.
So that's what Catalan had to say about KJ. And you got to be really excited about KJ's leadership skills. And I think you just have to have one guy in that huddle that's stepping up and saying, I'm going to lead this team. And it sounds like KJ is doing it on both sides of the ball.
For sure. I mean, again, when you're the quarterback of the team, you're not only the quarterback of the offense, you're the quarterback of the whole team. And KJ's setting that leadership. But I'll tell you what, you've got a guy like Catalan who is man, this dude is unbelievable. Best safety we've had since Ken Hamlin, hands down. And he may end up being even better than Hamlin before it's all said and done.
So, again, going back to the strength of schedule that we're looking at for this year, you look at the projected wins for Arkansas, about 6.1, I think is technically what it was. What are your thoughts on that, looking at the schedule that Arkansas has? And we can go down that list. We're starting off with Rice on September the 4th, and then we have Texas, Georgia Southern. I think those are all winnable games. A lot of people look at Texas with question marks, but what's your over-under? What do you guys think about the winning opportunities here for the Razorbacks?
One thing that stuck out to me, maybe Duran, you can add into this, is that they had Arkansas last in the SEC in projected win total at 6. Now, one thing it says is that everybody in the SEC West is going bowling according to the FPI, but it also says that they still think Arkansas is below Mississippi State, below Ole Miss, below LSU. All of those teams. I mean, I think that Auburn, I think is going to come back to the pack a little bit. I think that they're going to find out that Malzahn wasn't nearly as bad as they thought he was. I don't think that Auburn upgraded by any means by bringing in Harsin as the replacement for Malzahn. Maybe Harsin will go replace Malzahn at UCF once he leaves, because that seems to be the pattern for Harsin. He replaces Malzahn, but I think that Arkansas has a shot to move up into that middle of the pack at least, as far as the SEC Western pantheon goes.
Yeah, I think some of the, like Mississippi State, I think they had them at 8 wins, and that's kind of a head scratcher to me. They had a lot of controversy going on behind the scenes last year. There's some transfers. Like, look at their, they had maybe the best running back in the SEC coming back last year, and he quits before the season's over. A lot of things just didn't gel exactly for them, but I think what a lot of that is in year 2, Mike Leach has traditionally had a pretty strong season. So I think there's a little bit of that going on there in those projections. But to have us at the bottom, we beat Mississippi State, we beat Ole Miss, we got basically 20 returning starters back, like I mentioned earlier. I really feel like it's a little bit of a slap in the face, you know what I'm saying? If I was a player, that's how I'd take it. And Arkansas, we're known for having a chip on our shoulder, so let's go with it. And how many times have you heard a coach say, hey, I want to be predicted last? I want them to predict us last. That does nothing but fuel our fire. I really love this schedule, how it sets up. I mean, it is a tough schedule, but you've got Rice right out of the gate, and then you've got Texas, and I really feel like our offensive line has added a lot of weight this year. We've got the added dimension of running quarterback. So I really feel like that's going to help us. I think we're going to do pretty well against Texas. If we can win that one, win that next one against Georgia Southern, that's 3 in a row. And then you get into the A&M game at Jerry's World in Arlington. They lost their quarterback, their experienced guy. I think they're going to be good. This is their 4th year now under Jimbo. But I think they're going to be a good team, and he's built them lines from the inside out, which is big time. And Pittman's doing the same thing here. So that's going to be a tough game. But if we can get if we start 3-0 going into that game, I think that's going to build a lot of momentum for us moving forward. Some of the things in the schedule I'm not crazy about are we go to Alabama or to LSU and then to Alabama, and then we get Missouri the day after Thanksgiving. So you only got 6 days after that one after getting, you're playing two of the tradition-rich, tough interior top teams that other than maybe Georgia, no one really has that O-line and D-line depth that those teams have. And so I feel like that hurts us a little bit against Missouri, makes that game a little less winnable. But I still think it's one of our swing games. Missouri going, I think we get Auburn at home is I like the way that game looks for us, them and Mississippi State. So I really think we can win 7 or 8 games. I think we're over on that 6.1 projection.
I think that what Duran is touching on as well is you've got some key games every year. There's always key games. I mean, you feel like you can beat Rice and some of these others, but especially with Sam Pittman. Now, if Chad Morris was here, I mean, that'd be just a completely different story. But with Rice on the schedule, you feel like you got a chance. But that Texas game is a big one because it's a non-conference game, especially when you're going into the SEC. Texas has been down. That's why they made the change in coach as they did to Sarkisian. So you think you've got a chance to win that game at home. You've got 20 starters coming back. I mean, you've got all kinds of good things going for you there. You're an SEC team playing a Big 12 team at home. Big 12 teams don't come to Arkansas or the SEC and win. So you think you've got a chance there. And then you've got games like Auburn at home. That's a big one. Can you go and steal one on the road at LSU somewhere in there? And then you find out, those wins start stacking up. But winning the 4 non-conference games, that's huge when you're going into SEC play because wins are so hard to come by in the SEC West.
I think you nailed it right there. You got to take care of your non-conference schedule. And I think non-conference wise, there's 3 out of 4 that I'm pretty comfortable with. I don't want to see knock on wood, I don't want to see a North Texas come through, but I do think that Texas, new system going on down there, I think Texas is a winnable game. I think that's the 4th one that I was concerned with. And then, Rice, Georgia Southern, and UAPB, I think those are all easily winnable games.
Yeah. Georgia Southern, they're a little better than a lot of people, you just see the name Georgia Southern. They did win 8 games last year and they do return a lot, but I still think we'll take care of business right there pretty handily.
Other big news that's going on in Razorback land right now is the transfer of Desi Sills. We knew he was transferring. Now we know where he's going. He's heading over to the University of Auburn. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, so let's take Desi Sills and let's put Mike Woods with him. And let's say for the sake of saying that Mike Woods transfers to somebody on the schedule next year. The difference in how people view things, the way they did even 15, 20 years ago, where a kid would transfer, good riddance, all this stuff. Now you see people on Twitter and stuff writing love letters to these guys saying, "Oh, we thank you for being here," and all that stuff. How do you feel if you've got Desi Sills now at Auburn, and let's just say that Mike Woods ends up at Texas A&M or at South Carolina or at somebody on the schedule? I guess Texas A&M is probably one of those teams that Mike Woods could end up at that would be on the schedule. How do you feel about that?
I'm pretty diehard Razorback fan. So those things, to me, if you transfer to a place where you're going to play Arkansas, especially in basketball, where there's a chance you might play us twice, and I haven't looked at the projected schedule already, but that's saying something. Maybe it's just a good fit for you to go to a certain place. Whatever the backstory is that got you there, but it kind of shows that. In my opinion, you want to beat the Hogs now. So I wish you well. Don't get me wrong. I want you to do well, but I don't want you to do well and hurt the Hogs. You know what I'm saying? So overall, I'm not a big fan of the whole transfer thing, but it is what it is in the world we live in. But I'm done with you basically if you're going to play against my Hogs the next season, and it going into where you sign up.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Duran, because the way I see it, it's kind of like candied apples. All right. A guy wants to transfer and it's like, hey, I appreciate your time here. I appreciate what you've done for the program. I wish you the best. Once a hog, always a hog, woo pig suey, and it's like you wish those guys the best genuinely. At least I do. And then they go and they go to somewhere like Auburn, and it's like, okay, not only are you going to go to another SEC school, but you're going to join somebody in the SEC West. And then it takes that candied apple, and it's almost like they covered an onion in
Mhm.
caramel, and it's like, okay, well, now this leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and now I'm
Yeah,
not so happy about it.
and think about Desi. He was the starter this year, and he, because Devo started playing better, and Desi's streaky. We know how he's always been streaky. I remember his freshman year, he started just horrendous from SEC land, or 3-point land. We got deep in SEC play, and he went on a roll, and he was our best 3-point shooter by the end of that season. I think that was the year we went to the NIT. And anyways, you know, that kind of stuff, you play your way out of the starting row and then you go to a rival. So to me, it shows a little bit of what's going on there. That he's got a bad taste in his mouth.
Yeah, I think that his reaction has shown that he thinks that somebody was holding him back, and
Hmm.
Desi Sills had every opportunity. And don't get me wrong, I think Desi Sills did a great job, was a great Razorback, went through a lot here. But I know that the previous staff, even with Mike Anderson, had to sit down and talk to him and kind of get him to just get his head right, stick around. It seemed like he was kind of the head case as it was. And you're talking about a guy that came in, he wasn't very heralded. He was a 3-star guy. I mean, just not a highly ranked recruit. Now, he had some moments here, no doubt
Right.
about that. He had some fantastic moments at Arkansas, but overall, the only person that held Desi Sills back was Desi Sills.
Right. And even Musselman, I think he had an interview, if I remember correctly, saying that he had to bring Desi in when he first got here and just talk to him. And Desi was almost thinking about not playing basketball anymore. He was at that point. So, like you alluded to, they had to get his head right multiple times. And it's all on Desi, in my opinion.
Well, it's definitely, the one of the newer things that's coming out of the Hill right now is that transfer that came out yesterday, along with the Mike Woods thing. But moving on, we got some big time baseball being played up at Baum-Walker Stadium. These Hogs, undisputed #1 in the country. Talk about our Razorbacks.
It's a lot of fun right now to just be a part of the winning culture that's going on at Arkansas. I mean, you look at everything. I mean, even the ice hockey club team is winning and finished second in the country as of last night. They did lose in the national championship game, but when you just think about all of the things that you've been through as a Razorback fan for so long, where it just didn't seem like you could win for losing no matter what. We had a little bit of success basketball wise under Anderson. I mean, had some moments here, had some moments there, but it just wasn't overall what we wanted as a basketball program. Of course, baseball's always been there for the most part, especially since 2016 when they missed the NCAA tournament. Since then, it's just been, steady climb. Playing for the national championship in 2018. Bill, don't even say it. But
Dang
Bill,
Beavers.
Bill likes to talk about that drop foul ball. But anyway, with that said,
I'm traumatized, Brad. I'm traumatized.
me
Block
too.
it
Don't
out.
talk about
Block
it.
it out.
Just let it go. Anyway, but it's fun. And it's fun on the baseball field. I mean, you're 30-6, folks. 30-6 in baseball. It's a fantastic record. You're on pace to win more games than you've ever won in regular season play. 30-6 is the best start in 36 games in Razorback history. I mean, there's a lot to be proud of. This team, personally, look at Ryan Folks. If you guys follow anybody on Twitter, go follow Ryan Folks on Twitter. This guy, I mean, he lays it out there for you. Basically, Arkansas is the best hitting team in the country right now.
Mhm.
Now, there are some concerns, even as the #1 team, but the reason they're concerns is because you feel like they can win it all.
Yeah.
And I do think that they can win it all. I've watched most of these ball games, as available to me. And, I see these Hogs, they are making the bat move. They're putting the ball out of the park. I've seen some almost go on the road on the other side of Baum Stadium. I mean, they are dropping bombs in Fayetteville and everywhere else. But what concerns me the most about this team and what I think may stop them from winning it all, if we wanted to go down that road, is inconsistency. I think waiting until the fifth or sixth inning to get the bats moving may be something that can come back to hurt them. I would like to see more games where they roll right on through the game from start to finish instead of getting behind and being the comeback game.
Yeah, definitely. Some of that's just baseball, but I 100% agree with you. They got to get the bats rolling a little more often and not being a comeback kid every week. 30-6, but man, there's not a whole lot of fingernails left around Razorback Nation watching these baseball games. My biggest concern moving forward, getting back to Omaha, is starting pitching. We don't have like a Blaine Knight or a Isaiah Campbell who is going to go out there and they're going to give you 6-7 dominating innings. We don't really have that. Paulette's been good at times. Vermillion's been good at times. The Sunday starter, what's his name, Brad?
Lockhart.
Yes. He's up and down, and I really like the way he pitches though. For the most part, he's been a little inconsistent lately, but you don't have that. Just you're going to get this win tonight. For the most part, you don't have that guy. So our bullpen's great. You got Cops, you got Wiggins, all these other guys coming off. You got Connor Nolan and Wicklander. He's starting to get a few starts here and there. He's earned that, and the bullpen's great. But having just a shutdown ace, that's my biggest concern going in, because that helps you so much when you can go in and win a Friday night game and you basically got that penciled in as a win. It really helps the series right off the bat. And not having that when you get the regional, super regionals, things of that nature is my biggest concern.
I know Cops is pretty healthy when he comes in as a relief pitcher. I really like it when we call the cops on people. Cops he's got some nice velocity. I think he really commands the plate. He's one of the ones that I like. When I see him coming into the game, I'm like, well, he's going to have a good couple of innings here. And so that's one of the things, the bright spots. I'm interested to see what happens when Connor Nolan gets healthy. Is he going to provide the depth that may help? Could you bring Cops out of the bullpen and have him in the starting role with a healthy Connor Nolan? Those are the things that, like you're alluding to. How's the pitching going to do down the stretch? It's all about depth, and we need to get Connor Nolan and everybody on the same page.
Yeah, the thing about Connor Nolan that's important is through his whole career, he's a guy that throws strikes. Now they might hit him some, but he comes in and throws strikes. And Dave Van Horn, he loves that. He don't want to bring a guy in if he's coming out of that bullpen and he walks, one out of every 3 batters, or he's struggling with his consistency. Come in, get some strikeouts, get some ground balls, let your defense work for you, but don't walk people, make them earn everything. And if we can get Nolan back off that injury, get him back going, that's going to be big for us moving down the stretch.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think you alluded to there, if we get Nolan and Vermillion together, I think that you have a chance to start Cops if they want to. Now, I don't think that you can start Cops because he's your best guy out of the bullpen unless you have guys that that you can fill that role with. Because right now we're leaning on Cops so much coming out of the bullpen in at least 2 games in the series. We need somebody to be able to kind of take that role over. I think Connor Nolan's a guy that could do that. Haven't seen a lot out of Nolan this year. He's on injury right now. And then, of course, Zev Vermillion as well, a guy that started. I think you put those 2 guys together, I think you've got a great opportunity to fill that role. And then maybe you can put Cops in a role. Then you could also move one of those starters into relief as well. I think right now Paulette has looked really good in his last couple starts. I think that Wicklander's been pretty good. So Lockhart's your guy probably if you're going to start somebody or move somebody out. Maybe you move Cops into it like a Saturday starting role. Now, again, this is all speculation. DVH hadn't called me and said, hey, what do we do, Brad?
He's going to know better than we would anyway.
Exactly. But I think that that's something that you can do, kind of mix and match together.
Yeah.
And maybe get that starting role up to where you can get 5 to 6, maybe even 7 innings out of guys a little bit more often.
Right. And Blake Adams and Zach Morris, those guys, they've also had some moments. And it's a deep bullpen. It's just getting it all going and piecing it together, getting through 5 innings, 6 innings, and then getting the back end to finish it up for you. And getting guys back like Nolan and Vermillion, that's going to be huge.
Big week for the Hogs. We got South Carolina coming up this week. We got LSU coming up in the future as well. Games that were scheduled this week have been canceled. We had Grambling State got thrown out, and the most recent one that I just saw through. Let me pull that email up real quick. Unless Brad wants to remind me, Missouri State was canceled. They had COVID issues, so that series has been canceled as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, non-conference games are just warm-ups. That was the final non-conference game, I believe, on the schedule. At this point, it's all conference, which is fine. I mean, you're kind of at a point now where you should be hitting stride. Which at this point with the Razorbacks, it's just shoring things up. Let's shore the starting rotation up just a little bit. Let's get the bats going a little bit more throughout the game. But you got to love the ability to come back. Although even um, the best ability to come back, you don't always get to do that. Even we saw that on Sunday with Texas A&M.
Yeah, definitely. And they had their opportunities in that game, and you could tell in Van Horn's presser after that loss that he was just kind of he just you know he wanted that win because they had the opportunities there. Strike zone, he didn't say that, but the strike zone got a little crazy those last couple batters, Goodhart and Wallace, and um, that was a tough one. But we're going to South Carolina, the number 11 in the country, and then after that we go to LSU. The whole possum and all that stuff. Even though LSU's record's not the best this year, they're still tough to beat down there at Baton Rouge. And uh, we're the only team that's got the kind of wins that we do on the road this year. We beat Texas Tech, we beat Texas. They're both top 10 teams. We beat Mississippi State, swept them at Mississippi, at Starkville. Ole Miss, we win 2 out of 3 down there. So if we can continue that and be the road hogs and going to South Carolina, who's number 11, is playing well right now, and if we can win that, and then you got LSU, uh, it just cements how quality of a team this is. Getting those road wins is huge, and just shows you how for real and how earning of that number 1 they really are.
And one thing that to kind of add on to that, Duran, is South Carolina is looking to open up their attendance. They're wanting to make a full capacity crowd when the number 1 Razorbacks come into town, and rightfully
It's
so.
like a theme, don't it?
It's a theme. But the thing is Arkansas's been there before. We went to Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and they had packed stadiums.
Yes.
And we took care of business down there. All right. So I'm not worried about this trip down to Carolina. They can put as many people as they want in that facility. These hogs are going to knock the ball over their heads.
Yeah, they'll be playing Final Destination or the Final Countdown. That's what they always like to play over at South Carolina. It'll drive you nuts eventually. But anyways, they right, like you said, we're used to that, and it seems like everybody's doing that, and that's what happens when you're the number 1 team in the country. You got that big target on your back. But I'm not, I don't think they're scared, and they've showed that they're not all season long. So I'm hoping for a big series win this weekend.
That's what I'm waiting for. Brad, do you have anything else?
All minds are clear, man.
All
No,
minds are clear.
man, I'm excited about just the direction of everything that's going on. It's a lot of fun to watch right now. I'm excited about the Razor Wire. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff, maybe even end up in Omaha before it's all said and done.
As long as we can keep those balls off the first base line, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
Stop, man.
right, exactly. Anyways, no, it's a lot of fun when things start going. You start winning basketball. I mean, think about this, man. I'll follow Razorback sports about as much as anybody for the most part, and I feel so rusty on spring football because I paid attention to everything, but because basketball was so good, we haven't had that the last few years. You know what I'm saying? Where we're still playing almost into April. Because the championship Final Four is not until April, and that was so much fun to be a part of that ride, getting those wins, the Sweet 16 win, the Elite Eight, getting there, and that was awesome. And it just seems like these kind of things, when one thing that's going, football was kind of up last year from how it was, basketball starting to roll, baseball is on top of the world, everything. You got track, cross country, golf's doing well, and now look at our hockey. This is a hockey club, but still. So I work at the DC, Walmart DC in Clarksville, and we got a new guy. He was coming by me the other day. He had a Michigan hoodie on, and I'm like, it was the day after we beat Michigan. They were like number 2 in the country. The hockey team beats them to go to either the Final Four or the championship. And I was like, are you from Michigan? And just giving him a hard time about it. I was like, why about them Hogs beating them? And he had no clue what I was talking about. He wasn't a hockey fan. He just happened to have a Michigan hoodie because his brother lived there for a while. But just stuff like that. It just seems to build, and it's a great time to be a Razorback right now.
Hey, I think a lot of these young kids are just like that Michigan guy, because they've never been exposed to a Razorback culture of winning. You know, the last time that the Razorbacks made it that far in the NCAA tournament was what, 95,
Mhm.
96? I mean, it's
Yes,
been a
95, the
while.
Elite Eight. Yeah.
So a lot of these kids weren't even born then. And
Yeah.
this can do nothing when you look at the Razorback athletic program across the board. Hunter Yurichek's got this thing moving in the right direction because
Yes.
these kids are looking at Arkansas athletics going, hey, Arkansas is the place to be. And we haven't had that in a while.
Kids,
Yeah.
we've got Al Dillard out there. You know, there's an Al Dillard out there somewhere that didn't know Razorback success. It's been out. You know, you think about this, man. I mean, you're talking about people who are almost 30 years old have not seen the success that the Razorbacks have had, like we saw. I mean, when I grew up, I remember the Quinn Grovey days where the SWC champions in 88 and 89. Then you follow that up with 7 straight basketball conference championships, 3 Final Fours, an Elite Eight, and a national championship game and a national championship, all in that 7-year span there. I mean, that was the time that I grew up. That's the time that I got hooked on Razorback sports.
Yeah, 3 Final Fours, 90, 94, 95, 3 Final Fours in 6 years. You know, that's what we grew up on. That's what we kind of cut our teeth on, and that's what we expect. And it's been a long time coming. You know, it's been a hard road to hoe, and we're finally back to that Elite Eight, and I'm excited. Muss has got it figured out. You know, he's got a blueprint. You know, you got Calipari over at Kentucky. You know, he's got the whole one and done thing he's been doing for the last decade. Muss saw that. He's got that NBA, you know, that the AB, what is it called? The expansion league or whatever,
The G League.
the G League. They you know, he's got that background where he's got to move players all the time, in and out, in and out. And he took that blueprint to college and did it in Nevada. And, you know, he's brought it to Arkansas, and he is the importer. You know, he's the top guy doing that. And you're starting to see some other teams. Florida this year had some pretty big splashes in that transfer portal. So you're starting to see it kind of, I think people are looking at what Musselman's doing, seeing our success, and you're going to see some more people kind of doing that and not relying so heavily on incoming freshmen.
So that's it. That's going to be our show for today, right here from Arkansas Sports Network's The Razor Wire. And of course, if you are interested in Arkansas athletics, stay connected to The Razor Wire. I want to thank Brad Caldwell, Duran Miller. I'm Bill Harshaw. So long, everybody.